I would have
Very,
loved to
very
have seen the settings on his amp and his pedals and whatever like he was messing with to get that sound. I really, really want to know. Because it was
I
had this
don't
like
ruin it.
it had this overdrive, but like a compressed overdrive sound, and it was so fucking intriguing.
Don't ruin it by being nerdy. You know that it was created by mythical beasts. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah, let's stick
animating
with
it.
that. You're right. You're right.
Things
Primordial
with
sticks
horns.
around post-apocalypse. I get it. You're right. It's better.
Exactly.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles, where we get together and share music with one another, discuss it, and it's, hopefully you're here checking it out. But John, you're up to bat today. You're going to offer up something for me to go off and listen to. So what have you got in the chamber?
Right, so we're going back to a band that we have only very recently unearthed and dug up and dragged out of its hole and examined its bones and all sorts of other metaphors like that. It's got to be raining with lots of floodlights on it as
Yeah.
well, and a really tired local reporter by the side waiting to hear the news. But anyway, I'm painting a picture that doesn't exist.
You are.
So yeah, we are going to listen to another track from the Stranglers.
Oh, okay. This was this Lord Lockdown's suggestion and Nice and Sleazy?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's still fresh in my head. I've listened to that a couple times since, to be honest with you. And I really like that song. So this is a good chance as any to go off and listen to something else that they've done, right?
Well, I believe, as I said at the time, it's a beauty, but they have more than one beauty in their sack of delights, and this is another one, and it is a song which you will be familiar with, which I should think half the population of the planet will be familiar with, and the song is "Walk On By."
Walk on by. So this is a cover of God, uh is it Dionne Warwick? Is that who we're
Yeah,
talking about right now? Okay. Yeah,
obvious place for them to go to.
well, the funny, yeah. First of all, weird choice for them to pick. Like, but I like that. I like that they're thinking outside the box. But it's been so long since I've heard the original, and I even when I did, it wasn't like I sat down and invested the listen like I'm about to with this one. So, okay, all right, interesting. Let me go and listen. Let me go listen to it, and then we'll unpack what I have to say when I come back on the other side. Okay, we've just started, and there are already several things I like what I hear. Love that guitar. Then you get this really chunky bass that comes in. Sounds like it's got some overdrive, maybe some other things happening there. And I also picked up on some sort of bright, twangy kind of sound happening over here in this can. And it sounds like another guitar, but I'm not quite sure. I only heard it twice, and then it sounds like we've now got these the lyrics coming in, the vocals coming in. So let's see where we go from here.
Walking down the streets and I start to cry.
You know what? No, we're just taking it back. We're just gonna take it back.
If you see me walking down the streets and I start to cry each time we meet, walk on by. I walk on by and make believe that I can't see the tears that let me breathe. I'm private, cause each time I see you, I just wanna cry. I walk on.
Am I also hearing organ in there somewhere? I don't know. Sounds like it.
I walk on by. so broken in pieces.
Okay, it's definitely organ. It was doing like a fluttery bit kind of in the chorus. Now this is back into the verse proper, if I'm not mistaken. And it sounds much more like your conventional organ. I hear organ, I think two things. I think the Doors, and I think well, I guess three, Phantom of the Opera is now popping into my head. But then I also think of like going to baseball games and hearing like the sort of organ rally sounds that you hear from time to time peppered throughout the stadium. Kind of a nostalgic sound for me, but I digress. Yeah, no, I really, really enjoy what I'm hearing thus far.
Come by. Oh, well, come by. And foolish pride, if I can't see the tears, then let me hide all the tears and the sadness you give me when you say goodbye. Oh, walk on by. Oh, walk on by.
Nice
Walk on by. Just go for a stroll in the trees.
Love that. Okay. What the organ is doing is great. Love those little peppered in sounds, and that bass is starting to do some really sick shit. It's going beyond just sounding good in its like tone and quality and sort of the original kind of eccentric sound of the bass at the beginning to now sounding good but doing awesome shit, which makes it sound even better. So yeah, I am enjoying this a lot. Okay, so I did not want to pause during all of that, and I thought, okay, we're gonna let this organ wrap up. It's gonna finish showing out, and I'm gonna be able to pause this thing. And no, it just passed the baton to the guitar, and the guitar did its thing, and it did its thing really, really well. Both those lead portions of the song, or those lead roles played by the organ and then the guitar, were outstanding. I mean, you heard it, spoke for itself. It was really good stuff. The rhythm sections behind that, the bass and the drums, what they're doing is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Um, they're moving everything and keeping everything, all of this all these wild dynamics being done by the organ and the guitar. They're keeping them um, within bounds and moving forward in such a way that keeps you wanting more and more. The movement of the drums from going from like ride cymbals back to the toms and the snare. It's just so good. It gives it, like I said, it gives it life and it gives it movement. The bass adding in all these peppered in flourishes and fills to kind of keep things fresh and not keeping it from going stale. Fabulous. Just a really great part. That was probably felt like it could have been 2.5 to 3 minutes of just straight music. And it could have gone on for another 2 or 3 minutes and I would have loved it just the same. Really, really talented stuff by these guys and that whole sort of motif there. But yeah, let's wrap up and see where this goes.
I walk on by and make believe that I can't see the tears that let me breathe on a private, 'cause each time I see you, I just wanna cry. Walk on by, I walk on by. Now you really gotta go, you really gotta go. Oh, you really gotta go, you really gotta go.
Oh, great shit. Great shit. Some of it, Nice and Sleazy, was a little bit more catchy or something to me. I don't know, but this was great musician. It's just it's hard for me to really pick. I'd be splitting hairs at this point, and I've only listened to this one once, and honestly, I've only listened to Nice and Sleazy a few times since we did that track on here. Again, great recommendation. But so is this. This is another really good recommendation. And I think, as I recall, this was the album cover looked similar, or this thumbnail looked similar to the one that I think was the Nice and Sleazy. So I'm assuming this is around the same time. Yeah, really, really, really liked this song. I'm liking the Stranglers. I'm liking their sound, and I'm liking that I'm getting to learn more. So let's get back to John and do just that.
So you're back from your little stroll?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there wasn't much of anything that reminded me of what I even could pull from my memory banks from listening to the original, except for, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but sort of the chorus, a little like the with the goodbye and walk on bys and sort of the harmony, like little like hints to it there. Other than that, I was like, wow, this is like a completely different thing here that we're listening to. But I honestly should probably just go back and listen to the original now that I've listened to this and kind of hold them up against each other a bit better than I'm in the position to do right now. But man, this was a lot of fun. This was really, really interesting. The way it starts off with this really cool, almost bluesy-ish kind of like guitar riff for a couple repetitions, and then that doesn't go on for very long before we're introduced to this super chunky, like overdrive riddled bass. And it was like clanking, like it was just so chunky and had all these edges on it. It was like watching a cinder block fall down steps. Like that's the kind of like down kind of sound it had going to it. It was really, really interesting. I liked it a lot. There was also every once through the repetition that they're doing after like the band all kind of came in together, but before he started singing, there was like this chiming really clean, chimey sound in the left speaker on my headphones, and I think it sounded like a strum, so I think it was a second guitar. But then you hear all like that sound got lost on me soon thereafter because the organ comes in, and the organ is like really commanding a lot of attention. So I almost lost that bit, but I really enjoyed it listening to it in the very beginning. And there were some also like these really great use of harmonies that I just talked about when by the time the chorus kicks in. So it's like goodbye and then walk on by is repeated a couple times. And every time you hear this lovely, like, sort of amped up kind of vocal track where that's coupled with another vocal track. And maybe a couple. I don't know how many people are providing harmonies on this one, but it sounds really great. It's the closest thing to poppy this song gets, and the closest it does to, I think, alluding to or suggesting to it's the original. Um, Around the 125 marker, he says something to the effect of "Go for a stroll in the trees." And then the organ takes its cue from that and begins meandering all around in this swirly bit of sonic play all over, and all over the top of that, like that chugging bass that we were just talking about. And during bits of this, the bass starts adding all these little flourishes and fills, and oh my God, it's great. It is so good. Also, the drums are starting to do some stuff in this bit as well, and it's the first time I've really noticed them in the song, if I'm honest. Which is taking, I'm not. There was so much going on before that. The organ had me thinking Doors, had me thinking going to baseball games. So I lost the drums and that chimey sort of guitar from the beginning. But man, when this part came back or started, and there was all this like feature work being done, I found myself really honing in on the rhythm section and not the feature players, i.e., the organ that I just alluded to, who does kill it. I mean, let's be honest. And then the lead guitar that it passes the baton to for the second leg of this tour. What's gotten me, and I think it's just because I'm a rhythm person, like I've just the instruments I've always been part of a rhythm section. The way they keep everything like in the pocket and moving forward and like staying within the boundary lines of the playing pitch that is this song, everything and it wants to go outside of it, but the drums and the bass keep pulling it back in, and it's so good. It's just I think it may have been like 2.5 or 3 minutes of just jamming out, and it could have been 4.5 to 6 minutes, and I'd be like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I love this. So, yeah, and you do get great cymbal work on the ride a little bit, and then you'll go into these rolls, and you just hear that awesome tinging of that ride as everything's moving forward, and it's kind of setting the pace. And I really, really, really enjoyed that a lot. So yeah, it was around the 3:30 marker that I think the guitar takes the baton from the organ and just totally kills it with some great, great guitar work. And the rhythmic dynamics shift a little bit during the guitar-led portion where you hear the drummer hang on that ride cymbal like I was talking about, and then shift to this escalating motif like the music is climbing up rungs of a ladder or something. And then as that progresses, it then falls back into the chorus or the pre-chorus in the chorus, I think. And that kind of wraps up the song. You can also correct me on this one. The original is not 6 minutes plus, is it? Like, come on. They've added all this musicality that really puts a lot more meat on the bones for this song. But the best parts of the meat, right? So it just makes the song so much better and cooler and more interesting. Dare I say listenable for someone like me, who would probably 10 times out of 10 gravitate to this iteration versus the original. Thought it was awesome, and it showed me another side of these guys, that they can not only write a really good song on their own, but they can take something else that's pre-existing, and we've said this a million times, but reinventing it. And that's really what, like, sometimes there are covers that are true to covers, and they really are good and they sound good, and the cover or the original song is not worth tinkering with because it's just a beautiful song on its own. But it does take some real talent to be able to deconstruct and rebuild, and make a new song out of something that was pre-existing. And they did that here really, really well. It was an awesome song.
Excellent. Yeah. So I won't bang on about the band, etc. We covered them in the last one. I will put a link into the previous episode where we covered all about the Stranglers. Just to recap the personnel, Hugh Cornwell, guitar, lead vocals, Jean-Jacques Bernal, bass guitar, backing vocals, Dave Greenfield, keyboards, backing vocals, and Jet Black, drums and percussion. So the song itself.
John, real quick, was this, and correct me if I'm wrong again on this one, but like the thumbnail that went with this, that was very similar to the thumbnail from Nice and Sleazy, wasn't it? I think there was some branding up there that said like the name of this track that wasn't there in the last one, but that image, is that from was this on the same album? Did this come out around the same time?
I'll get into that.
Okay, all right, of course you will. Shut up, Andy.
Anyway, there's always one in the corner. So, Walk On By, the song. Stone Cold classic. So, written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, specifically for the singer Dionne Warwick in 1963. So, it would have been a short and compact little number back then. The song itself peaked at number 6 in the US Billboard Hot 100, and it was number 1 on the Rhythm and Blues chart in 64. And it was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rhythm and Blues Recording the following year. It is a Stone Cold classic, and there's a particularly lovely version which she does in German called Geh vorbei, which is worth a listen. That's quite funny. Unless you're German, it's just normal. But the song's also been recorded by loads and loads and loads of people, but notably Aretha Franklin, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Isaac Hayes does a fantastic version as well, which is very different. Gloria Gaynor, George Benson, the Average White Band, Gabrielle, Diana Krall, Cyndi Lauper, Seal, the Beach Boys, and, for our UK viewers, Don Estelle. Lovely boy, shoulders back. Andy won't know what the hell I'm talking about there.
No, he wouldn't.
And they don't allow repeats of that TV program anymore either. But anyway, it's another whole kettle of fish. So the Stranglers version reached number 21 in the UK singles charts. It was released in 1978. So this 6-minute version of the song obviously features these, as we've already said, extended organ and guitar solos, which Gene Becker of AllMusic likened to the Doors' Light My Fire.
Yeah,
obviously. The singles chart performance may have been impaired by the fact that an EP featuring the song had been given away free with the first 75,000 copies of the band's album, Black and White. So they kind of scuppered their chances of getting a bigger hit because 75,000 copies of the bloody thing had already been given away. And you may have not noticed, but it is the same cover. But in that thumbnail, Dionne Warwick's face had been superimposed on top of Hugh Cornwell's face, so it adds another level of creepiness to it.
Yes, because I remember looking at that. I didn't want to say anything because you don't want to judge anybody, you know what I mean? But I was like, man, that dude's got a really wide face. Yeah, that's a little weird, dude. That's so funny now.
Yeah, it is. Once you see it, you'll see it, as it were. Yeah. It is funny. It is, yeah. So, lyrics. If you see me walking down the streets, I start to cry each time we meet. Walk on by, I'll walk on by, and make believe that I can't see the tears. Now let me grieve, are in private, because each time I see you, I just want to cry. Walk on by, walk on by, walk on by. I just can't get over losing you, and so if I seem so broken in pieces, walk on by, I'll walk on by, and foolish pride. If I can't see the tears, then let me hide all the tears and the sadness that you gave me when you said goodbye. Walk on by, walk on by, walk on by. Just go for a stroll in the trees. That sentence is his own. It wasn't in the original. All the rest of it was. Keyboard solo, guitar solo, other shenanigans, lovely bass, drums, etc. And then back in, walk on by, I'll walk on by, make believe, then I can't see the tears, now let me grieve, are in private, because each time I see you, I just want to cry, walk on by, You really got to go. You really got to go. Oh, you really got to go. 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 Oh, you really got to go. So this song, context is everything. So this song, 1978, it really marked the shift for this band, for the Stranglers, away from their sort of, well, publicly perceived beginnings of pub rock and punk. You do not get this sort of jam organ stroke guitar solo in any punk songs. It really does.
Yeah.
So it was a much more sophisticated sound of music, which they then developed. And it did actually showcase more than previous songs their musical prowess. And, we've talked about their backgrounds in jazz and classical and all that sort of stuff. They were people who could really play. They weren't picking up their guitars in their dad's garage and learning to smash out 3 chords on a snare. It really is an extraordinary cover version, and definitely one of the finest covers versions of songs ever done. I'd do a top 5 for me, easy. It's up there with All on the Watchtower, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And what makes it special is these wonderful sneering vocals from Cornwall that are kind of brimming with contempt, that give another dimension to the lyrics. The original from Dion Moore is a wonderful song. I absolutely love it. But it is a distillation of heartbreak and that moment when you see your ex or whatever and your stomach just churns and and all that. It's just, it got it to a T. This is like, fuck you. It really is. And it's just all the better for it. And it really is. The guitar is fantastic. It kind of scratches in the background, as you say, and then leaps forward. The bass is amazing, as always with Strangler songs. It's like, the exhaust of the motorbike of the Angel of Death. Oh, you're twanging on the tendons of some mythological underground beast. It just this unbelievable sound, which is wonderful. And of course, there are obviously these comparisons to Ray Manzarek as well on the keyboards.
Yeah.
But I think he goes down a more distinct, almost jazzy route with his solo that Ray Manzarek really kept to the classicals. So he was a big Bach fan, wasn't he? And he just went along those routes. And you can see a lot of influence that. But this was a different beast. This was going for a stroll in the trees, 100%. And it leads into that guitar solo, and they kind of tandem for a bit. And it's just such an inspired, jam session, which has so much tension in the interplay. But the interplay initially with the organ and guitar, and then, as you say, the guitar trying to strain away, and this perpetual motion of the bass. It feels like this thing's going to still be playing when the Earth has exploded and the universe is imploded on itself. That fucking bass will still be playing. It's just amazing. And one review, I was reading about some different reviews of this, and one reviewer said, this single is a wang dang doodle of the highest form, and I can't think of any better praise for it. So yeah, it's one of my favorite cover versions of any song. And it's an actual humdinger.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. The bass was really fucking awesome. And the drum, like I said, the drums came along to shine for the second half of this thing, and I really, really enjoyed it. Awesome pick.
This is a band who know how to play.
There's no doubt about it. And I can't help but think it's funny that you're like, yeah, these aren't the guys that, 15, they went to like the pawn shop and picked up a guitar and self-taught themselves in their basement or their in the garage. But so many of the bands that were probably their contemporaries were. And I wonder what it was like for them to have to play a gig with these guys. Like, fucking shit, man. Like, these guys know what they're doing, and they're playing our genre, and they're masters at it. And we're just kind of trying to fit in and get by. There's probably some imposter syndrome happening there.
Yeah. And I think I touched on the previous one. There was a bit of sort of mistrust and hatred towards the Stranglers for various reasons, and that was one of them.
Yeah. Well, fuck those petty people.
That's
man. Don't hate
right.
the talent.
Where's your DIY bloody spirit here? He's been playing with orchestras. Fucking hell. But yeah, they more than made up for it in their sort of attitude. This weird, sneery, macho, semi-ironic, semi-not ironic sort of,
Yeah.
you know, posing that they did with some of their stuff. It can be uncomfortable to listen to. It's just difficult, but at the essence is this really, really super tight, great sounding band.
Yeah, yeah, they can't deny that.
And
Two of
you
them,
can
both
argue,
these songs are great, man.
yeah, really, really good. And it's like we talked about with the Jam, you know, Bruce Foxton's bass is an undeniable force of nature, and it has its sound. And Jean-Jacques' bass is this very similar thing. It's a different sound,
Yeah,
but it's its own beast, and you know, it's one of the trademarks of all Strangler songs, you know, that you'll hear.
yeah,
Is this incredible guttural noise
yeah.
that just springs from
I
a
would have
very,
loved to
very
have seen the settings on his amp and his pedals and whatever like he was messing with to get that sound. I really, really want to know. Because it was had this
don't
like
ruin it,
it had this overdrive, but like a compressed overdrive sound, and it was so fucking intriguing.
don't ruin it by being nerdy. You know that it was created by mythical beasts. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah, let's stick
animals
with
in here.
that. You're right. You're right.
Things
Primordial
with
sticks
horns.
around post-apocalypse. I get it. You're right. It's one of
Exactly,
those.
exactly.
Yes.
Right, I should wrap things up before he starts talking about taking up to 11. Um, thanks for listening, Sandy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was
Thanks, y'all.
it is a great trip. Folks out there, thanks for listening to it. Let us know what you think. Please hit the like button. You would be insane not to. And drop some comments. We'd love to hear about all your thoughts on this track, on the original wonderful song, Dionne Warwick. But Baccarat, it was this weird bit in I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was the early noughties where Baccarat saw this resurgence. He suddenly became popular again because he was seen as the most cheesy and terrible sort of music right through probably the 80s and 90s. And then there's this resurgence and big love for him, you know, which is nice to see someone, you know, getting it back again. There's a lot of his stuff I do like, you know, a lot of his stuff is absolute saccharine shit, but there's a lot of stuff which is great. So yeah, all your thoughts on that. Be more and more welcome. We'd love to read your opinions, etc., etc. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And rest assured, Stranglers fans, that there will be more down the pipe in the not too distant future. So yeah, please help support the channel. We really do appreciate everyone who does. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.